Today I decided to give you guys a ranking of my top 10 favorite Christmas movies. This is going to be a somewhat unconventional list because there are going to be some traditional films in here and other ones that I consider Christmas films. So without further ado, let's get started from worst to best. Coming in at number 10, we have Jingle All the Way. I very much enjoyed Jingle All the Way, and I think that it's a really entertaining film. But it is admittedly goofy, and it does have a heavy consumeristic message that I actually really enjoy, because when you're a kid, some people may think, oh, it's about love and family and Jesus and Santa Claus, but when you're little, you don't care about all that. You just want the presents. And this film kind of encapsulates that. Yes, as you get older, Christmas becomes more about family and friends, and, maybe you have a stronger connection to religion around this time of year. But when you're a kid, it's about the gifts, baby, and the holiday rush, and that's what this movie is. I adore Jingle All the Way, and I think it's just a magnificent film. Would have to be Christmas Story, Christmas Story Christmas, which is the official sequel, is a 1-2 punch that sees our boy Ralphie as a kid wanting to get a Red Ryder BB gun and getting into all sorts of shenanigans in 1940s America, and the sequel shows his kids in the 1970s as he tries to live up to his father's legacy and bring the ultimate Christmas like his dad used to when he was a kid. Both of these films are very heartwarming, and I think they make a nice 1-2 punch. I was very impressed by the sequel, and it actually does capture a lot of the charm of that original. It's still kind of corny and cheesy like the original, but it's still very enjoyable. Both films are just great, and I think the sequel will also become a classic, much like the original. If you love a good Christmas movie, you can't go wrong with The Christmas Story or its sequel. Up next is A Charlie Brown Christmas. This TV special is one of the best out of all the animated TV specials around that era. I just love Charlie Brown, and I think him and his friends trying to conduct a play while Charlie Brown learns the meaning of Christmas is just really heartwarming, and even to this day, I do find myself watching it every Christmas. It's silly, it's very kid-friendly, and it's everything that the Peanuts specials are, and it's the best one out of them all. An absolute classic for a reason. If you haven't seen this film, and you just love the Peanuts, or you just want to see a Christmas movie that you can watch with the kids, this is the one that you can't miss. Up next would have to be Batman Returns. I love Batman Returns, and if we're just speaking purely as a movie, this would probably rank higher, but I just have to look at it as a Christmas film. And as a Christmas film, it's not quite as conventional as most of the other ones on this list, but it's still very enjoyable. This sees Batman returning to fight the Penguin, and this film takes place around the Christmas season. I know some people might not consider this a Christmas film, but those people I say, yeah, well, it's my list, so tough pity. If you love Batman, this is one of the best films he's ever been in. And the Christmas setting really does add to the atmosphere of this film, and it's just a really entertaining movie all around, even if you don't watch it during Christmas time. It's like a mix between Halloween and Christmas, and it's wonderful. Up next would have to be Die Hard. Now, I know Die Hard is probably the best movie on this list, but as a Christmas movie, it's just barely one. But I do consider it one, and if you don't agree with me, well, once again, tough titty. Die Hard sees a New York cop named John McClane going up against terrorists in Nakatomi Plaza, a building that his wife works at. They're throwing a Christmas party, and it's time to let the Christmas spirit commence with a hail of violence and bloodshed in this awesome 80s action thriller. I love the Die Hard films, and my favorite is actually the third film, but this one is considered the best, and I can understand that for many reasons. And this Christmas spirit is on full display here, and I really do love this movie. Up next, we have Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon may be my favorite movie on this list, and it actually does have relatively heavier Christmas themes, such as an actual scene where a drug deal goes wrong in a Christmas tree farm. And apart from that, though, and a few aesthetics, you actually do see that the character Riggs, the main character of the movie, is a bit depressed because it is a holiday season and he lost his wife. So even though this part of this unconventional part of the list, it probably is the most Christmas heavy, or at least Christmas themed, of the non-traditional Christmas movies that I have featured here. I really do love the first Lethal Weapon, and even though Christmas is kind of an afterthought when it comes to this film, it does rear its head, and it does have some influence on the story and themes of the film. And it's just a great film all around. And for the last of the unconventional picks, we have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, also known as Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone for those over in Europe. Harry Potter is basically a movie about a kid who goes to a wizarding school and has to fight evil wizards while learning to be a wizard himself, and it's a pretty damn good series. The first film, though, at least the entire third act of the movie, does take place during the Christmas season, And it always did feel like really well done. Like I love the old school looking trees and the decorations, and I just like how it has that kind of cozy feel. And it's only the last part of the movie, but every time I think about the first film, I always think of it as kind of a Christmas movie. And that's maybe a bit of a cheat, but I still do really enjoy the film, and I love the Christmas part of the film. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This film is just hilarious, and it stars Chevy Chase once again as Clark Griswold, as him and his family try to survive the holidays. I really do love the humor this time around. It's just on point. Randy Quaid is great again as Cousin Eddie. I can relate to having this kind of experience around Christmas. You try to survive the holidays. It becomes so hectic that it's not really about enjoying yourself, it's just about getting through it sometimes. But much like Clark in the movie, you do learn to get over the challenges that come with the holiday season, and you do learn to appreciate what you do have, which is also a nice message that's in this movie. I really do love Christmas Vacation, and I think it's the second best of the Vacation series, and one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Between the dry turkey, the squirrel going crazy, and just SWAT team attacking the house, this is just an all-time classic, and it's hilarious, and I watch it every single year. Next, we have the classic, and that's Home Alone. You can't have Christmas without Home Alone, and I really do love this film. Home Alone is just magnificent. It shows a kid named Kevin McAllister who is, well, left home alone during the holiday season. Some robbers try to get into his house, and it's his job to defend the house and stop the wet bandits from stealing his parents' belongings and potentially harming him. It's just a great premise for a movie. Some kid all alone having a blast, but also having to save the day. It's like Die Hard, only with like a little kid instead of a building. It's his house. It's a great film through and through, and one that I absolutely love. The second film is also great, but I think the first one has to get a slight edge over this one, and you just can't beat the original Home Alone. But my favorite Christmas movie of all time would have to be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now again, if we're talking purely objective, I don't think this is the best movie on this list, but it is the most Christmassy I feel, and it's the one that puts me in the mood for Christmas most often. I watch this film every single year, and it's one of my absolute favorite Christmas movies of all time. It shows the story of an outcast reindeer named Rudolph. The other reindeer don't like him because his nose glows. But when Christmas is threatened by bad weather, they need Rudolph to guide them through the storm. And it just goes to show you that you shouldn't judge or be prejudiced to people because you just don't know who people really are. And people can't be defined just by their looks. It's a really good message and that most people get behind. And it also just has a really warm and inviting Christmas feel to it. I do think the characters are kind of, well, assholes, considering the fact that they just kick Rudolph to the curb until they need him. But apart from that's one small gripe, I really do love this movie. From the island of misfit toys to that really cozy cabin that my father really loves. Every time that scene comes on, he's like, oh, I want to live that place. Everything about the movie is just great. Released in the 1960s and still just as poignant today and still as entertainment as it ever was. Just a great film. Well, that's my list. There definitely were some unconventional ones on here like Die Hard and Batman, as well as The Weapon. But the films that I like to watch around the holiday season. If you'd like, leave your list down below, or just tell me your favorite. And have a Merry Christmas.